Welcome to episode 24 of the 5 Minute Creative Podcast. I'm Patrick Smith and it's October 5th, 2020. And today I want to talk about something a little bit different than I normally do, like current events, and talk about something that I don't love talking about. And I call it the dreaded S word, SEO, search engine optimization. And the reason I don't love talking about it, it's not because I don't like talking about this topic. You know, I'm a creative. That's kind of more on the brand side of things is what I really focus on. But the reason I struggle with enjoying these kinds of conversations with clients is because there's so much, I think, mystery around what SEO really is. And the reason there's a lot of mystery around it is because if you ask 10 different people what SEO is, you're going to get 10 different answers. And in a lot of ways, that label is very similar to branding. So when a client comes to us and says, hey, we need some help with our brand, that can mean 20 different things. It can mean something as strategic as, hey, our value proposition isn't really crystal clear, we need to sharpen that, or our brand positioning just doesn't align anymore with kind of our products or what our customers are looking for, we need to think through that again, to something that's out in the market like, hey, our messages just aren't resonating with our customer and our image isn't as contemporary as it should be, and our competitors are out there, they're showing us up or what have you. And there's all types of things in between those two ends of the spectrum. From your experience, the brand experience, what's a customer actually, how are they experiencing the brand, to trying to do some market conditioning, blah 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 blah. All those things make up branding. And just like with SEO, it could be something as literal as, hey, what is the copy? What is the text that we're producing and putting on our website that's contextually matching the searches that are happening through Google or any search engine based on some type of audit, to pay-per-click advertising. And again, there's all different things in between there that make up SEO. So, and I've had a couple of conversations with clients over here. Here's a good example is, and I don't say there was an argument about this with a client, but there was like an argument about this with a client. And, we launched a website. We did, all the foundational SEO things you would do for a website. And 2 or 3 years later, the client called us back and said, hey, we've got this niche product, and for whatever reason, we're not indexing, or our business or our product isn't showing up in Google search results. It's not on the first page or second page even. And my response to them was, well, we launched your site 2 or 3 years ago, and you have done nothing in terms of creating content for your blog, with the exception of maybe one or two 250 word updates about an event you're going to that wasn't really relevant to what people are searching for. Yes, those are good things to put on your blog or your news page or whatever, but it's not going to drive organic indexing on search. And there was a lot of confusion around where does SEO start on a website, and what has to happen after a website gets launched. So that's one of the reasons why I don't love talking about it, because I think everyone's just got a totally different perspective on it, and who's doing what and why and how much you should be doing it. So all those things. But I think over the last 6 months, a lot of clients have had the time to look at their analytics, so they've been calling us and asking if we could help them. So I've been also. SEO is changing every day. Google changes the rules. They move the goalposts all the time. With things that mattered 5 years ago or 3 years ago don't matter as much anymore. One thing that does matter, and I'll get off this in a second, is site speed. So it sounds like such a like arbitrary kind of thing. Like, why would that matter? Well, it does matter. And so premium hosting matters. And so when you're spending money on GoDaddy versus a premium host, that's going to impact your search results. Is it going to totally dramatically change the results? Maybe not a lot, but it is a weighed variable in how Google looks at your website versus your competitors. That's another thing that you need to think about, is where's your competitor living. So in any event, I'm probably going to go over 5 minutes here. I'll just keep this to another 60, 90 seconds. But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said something, and I'm like, this is what they just said is so spot on. So I just jotted it down. But there's a couple principles here that I'll just kind of ramble through. The SEO game never ends. Google loves updated content. You have to constantly update it. How much is constant? I don't have that answer right now. Every business is going to be different, but I can tell you from a C2 perspective, before 2020, I was very light on posting consistently on our website for a variety of reasons. I just kind of didn't pay attention to it. But this year we've been posting about once a month, maybe a little bit more. Not every post has been, a 600-page article, but I can tell a difference by just doing that alone. I can see the site traffic increasing just a little bit, not a lot. There's a lot of other things we need to do and be more strategic with, and we're going to be rolling those out in 2021 with targeted landing pages and a little bit more frequent blog postings. But I can start to see the analytics trending in the right way. So if that's important to your business, that's at a minimum what you should be doing. So the game never ends. And then I thought the statistic can set the expectation for clients that SEO is really a long-term game, and you're not going to see results if you have an existing website for anywhere between 3 and 6 months. And what kind of results? Again, it depends on your business. It depends on your competitors. And that's maybe a conversation for, instead of the 5-minute podcast, the 5-hour podcast, because you have to really get into the nuts and bolts. But you need to invest, probably 6 months before you start seeing your ranking go up. And there are tools out there where you can do this. Again, clients sometimes don't want to pay for these tools, so they have no way to measure it beyond their analytics. And then for a new website, if you're doing a lot of things the right way, you might not see a big impact for a year to 18 months. So it just takes a long time. Just like running a marathon, you got to practice every day or train every day or almost every day, and then ultimately you can reach your goal, or a goal to finish the race. But it's a constant, never-ending journey. And then the last thing, and I'll leave it here, content is still king, meaning copy, text, your messaging. That is the one item that ranks higher still than video, still than audio on your website. And that doesn't mean you need to put out a 600-page blog article every day, or a 1,000 word, But you could go back into your existing website and just refine messaging on existing pages, or build out additional pages based on certain verticals or specialties or offers or products that your customers or the market is looking for, and start to target those searches, what people are searching for, with content on your website. And people just really don't want to do the work. That's what it comes down to. Or they don't want to pay for it. So one of the other. So that's probably the other reason why I don't love talking about SEO, because it gets into so many other things. But just like branding, it is a very complex, it can be complex, it doesn't have to be complex, part of the business, and it's multidimensional, multi-layered. But if you do it right, just like with branding, it'll pay dividends over time. So with that is going to be all for this episode. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back soon.